America's $1.6 trillion student debt crisis just took a sharp political turn. President Donald Trump has announced sweeping changes to student loan forgiveness rules. Changes that could redefine how millions of Americans pay off their education debt. From new restrictions on nonprofit workers to an overhaul of income-driven repayment plans, the Trump administration's latest move has sent shockwaves across the nation. If you or someone you know has student loans, you'll want to hear this till the end. This is Shadow Report, where we uncover the stories shaping your world. Don't forget to hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, and join our community of informed viewers who stay ahead of the curve. Chapter 1. The state of America's student debt crisis. The United States is facing a financial crisis buried deep within its education system. Over $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. For decades, this number has continued to rise, trapping millions of borrowers in long-term repayment struggles. According to federal data, nearly 52% of borrowers are on track to pay off their loans within 10 years. But for the remaining half, especially those working low-paying jobs or who never completed their degrees, the burden feels impossible to escape. Many Americans pay an average of $299 a month toward their undergraduate debt, with graduate students paying significantly more. For these borrowers, the dream of higher education often turns into a lifelong financial obligation. Chapter 2. How student loan forgiveness traditionally works. To understand Trump's changes, it's important to know how forgiveness used to work. There are two main types of federal student loan forgiveness programs: income-driven repayment, IDR, and public service loan forgiveness, PSLF. Under income-driven repayment, borrowers pay a portion of their income, usually between 10% and 20% of their discretionary earnings, for 20 to 30 years. After that period, any remaining balance is forgiven. Then there's public service loan forgiveness, a program created to encourage careers in public service. If you work full-time for the government, the military, or qualifying nonprofit organizations and make 120 on-time payments, your remaining balance is wiped clean after 10 years. But starting in 2026, any forgiven amount under IDR may be taxed as income, a change that could add thousands in additional costs for borrowers. Chapter 3. Trump's new approach: restricting eligibility. In March 2025, the Trump administration began tightening control over who qualifies for forgiveness. The administration introduced new rules that would deny public service loan forgiveness to employees of nonprofits deemed to have a substantial illegal purpose. This vague phrase could target organizations that support undocumented immigrants, transgender youth, or groups accused of promoting violent or discriminatory ideas. Essentially, these new standards could disqualify entire sectors of nonprofit workers from loan forgiveness, the very people the program was designed to help. Critics argue this policy is a direct attack on organizations that advocate for social justice and vulnerable communities. Supporters of the rule, however, claim it prevents misuse of public funds for politically controversial causes. Chapter 4. Legal battles and temporary resumptions. Earlier in 2025, the Department of Education halted processing applications for certain income-driven repayment plans. The administration cited a court ruling that blocked a previous student debt relief effort launched under President Biden, and used it as justification to freeze other forgiveness programs as well. This triggered a legal backlash. The American Federation of Teachers, AFT, filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, demanding that the forgiveness process be reinstated. In October 2025, both sides reached a settlement. Under this agreement, the Department of Education resumed processing forgiveness applications for borrowers in need and public service workers. However, this victory came with caveats. Under Trump's revised rules, some nonprofit workers might still be labeled as working for organizations with illegal purposes, jeopardizing their eligibility. Chapter 5. The taxation twist. Forgiveness comes at a cost. One of the most significant changes buried in the fine print involves taxation. Under the new system, any loan forgiven after 2025 will be considered taxable income. That means if the government forgives $50,000 of your loan, you could owe taxes as if you earned that money. There are exceptions. Borrowers in public service or those whose schools closed or committed fraud will remain exempt from this taxation, but for everyone else, the very relief they've waited decades for could trigger a new financial burden. Economists argue this move could undermine the purpose of loan forgiveness entirely, as borrowers may find themselves trading debt for a massive tax bill. Chapter 6. What borrowers should do now. If you're a borrower, it's crucial to stay informed and proactive. Anyone currently enrolled in income-driven repayment plans can continue making payments as usual. Borrowers who struggle to meet their monthly obligations should immediately contact their loan servicer to explore other repayment options. Starting in 2026, the Education Department plans to introduce a new repayment model called the Repayment Assistance Plan, RAP. This will gradually replace older income-driven repayment programs by 2028. The RAP is expected to simplify calculations but may include stricter limits on forgiveness. Borrowers working in public service should also certify their employment annually, keeping documentation of eligibility and payment records. Given the new rules, staying updated on your employer's eligibility status is now more critical than ever. Chapter 7. Impact on future students and education planning. Trump's changes don't just affect current borrowers, they also shape the future of higher education. The tax and spending bill signed in July 2025 lowered the lifetime federal borrowing limit for graduate students. This means future students will have access to fewer federal loans, potentially forcing them into private loan programs with higher interest rates. For aspiring students considering careers in public service, the new restrictions add uncertainty. Many worry that public service loan forgiveness, once a cornerstone of government support, could be eroded further under Trump's administration. Experts recommend using online financial calculators to weigh the long-term cost of education against expected future income. In short, students must now approach higher education with caution and a clear understanding of potential financial outcomes. Chapter 8. The political and social ripple effect. At its core, Trump's changes to student loan forgiveness reflect his administration's broader philosophy: reducing government spending and limiting federal intervention in education. While supporters see this as fiscal responsibility, critics argue it disproportionately punishes lower-income and socially active borrowers. Public service programs like PSLF were designed to attract talented individuals to jobs that strengthen communities. By redefining what qualifies as public service, the Trump administration risks weakening nonprofit sectors that serve society's most vulnerable. For millions of Americans, this is not just about money. It's about fairness, opportunity, and the government's commitment to its citizens. Trump's overhaul of student loan forgiveness is reshaping the future of debt relief in America. From redefining who qualifies to taxing forgiven balances, the new rules could make higher education more uncertain and more expensive for generations to come. So what do you think? Are these changes a necessary financial correction or an attack on public service and middle-class families? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Shadow Report, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the biggest stories shaping our world. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and never stop questioning.